Alright, today we're going to work on verbs like gustar, verbo como gustar. Okay, when we work with verbs like gustar, we work with not subjects, but with indirect objects. The indirect objects are who is being pleased by whatever object, alright? Indirect objects will take the place of the yo, or the tu, or the el, or the nosotros out in front, okay? With every single verb like gustar, you have to have indirect object pronouns. You must have them. It is a requirement. So let's go back to indirect objects and define exactly what indirect objects are. Here's a grid of the indirect objects that there are in Spanish, okay? To me, something is pleasing. This literally means to me. This is the actual direct object. To you is a ti. A él or a ella, usted, is the third indirect object. To him or to her or to usted, formal, something's pleasing. A nosotros, to us, something is pleasing. Or to them, or to ustedes, to y'all, something is pleasing. Now, you don't necessarily have to explicitly state all of these before gustar. Once in a while it helps for clarification. That's why these are acting as clarifiers, although they are the actual indirect objects. It is the indirect object pronoun that goes before gustar, and this is what will seem very clear to you as something you remember from learning from Spanish classes before. Me gusta is how you would express the indirect object of me, a mí. Te gusta, le gusta, nos gusta, and les gusta. There is your grid of the indirect object pronouns. One of these must always come right before the verb gustar or any verbs like gustar. You cannot have gustar without any of these indirect object pronouns first. Alright, so how we manage the verb gustar. In our classes, you will only be having to worry about conjugating gustar in two ways. One is if you only have one object, one thing that you like, or if you like to do something, you like to play an action or a verb, that would be using gusta with an A at the end. Then you can use gustan if you like more than one object. However, be careful. If you like more than one thing, like I like running and doing lots of sit-ups, there are two different verbs, running and doing. And even though there are two verbs, they're not something you can count. Therefore, you're going to use gusta. Alright. Some of the verbs that are like gustar include encantar, okay, which means to love, like bumper sticker love. Importar, to be important to. Interesar, to be interested in. Remember, you don't have to say the in to say I'm interested in, and we'll see that in an example next. This is an error. It should say peace is important to him. How would you translate that? Here it's correct. Peace is important to him. A él le importa la paz. You don't necessarily need the L, but if we hide the a él and just say le importa la paz, you don't necessarily know who le is referring to. You don't necessarily know if that's a him or a her or an usted from no context. So the a él helps to clarify. I love New York. A mí me encanta Nueva York. You don't need the a mí out in front, but you may have it for emphasis. Finally, we are interested in sports. Sports, notice, is what's doing the interest. It's what's causing the interest. And it's plural. So what do we have to do with the verb interesar? And we are the ones interested, so nos is going to go out front. Nos interesan los deportes. Sports are los deportes. It's plural. It's countable. So the gustar-like verb interesar changes and has an N at the end. And that's your basics for the verbs like gustar. I hope that helped, and you may finish your note sheet. Gracias. Ciao.